what we're going to do right now, myself and Paul DuPont, and we will start off definitely with Paul DuPont. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to Biden it up. We should have like a text phrase.
Little bulletin sounds.
Hey, Jerome, can you put that together in 2 seconds? No? Okay. We got to move on.
So, Paul, tell us what's going on with your story with Biden, because I got one too. So let's start with good old Joe Biden.
So I wanted to take some time and focus on, so Joe Biden, of course, has entered the race. We got all kinds of wonderful stuff to talk about, all the baggage that he has. Everything that's good. Boy, he has some baggage. But right from the get-go, we know what campaign this is. We know what he's doing. We know how he's doing it. And we know because of his first steps as soon as he announced his bid. So his first things that he did was holding fundraisers with corporate lobbyists and specifically GOP donors. Like he is positioning himself within the donor class as a solid centrist who's trying to win over Republican voters and older voters. One of the first, it's interesting, they're basically like helicopters following him around, seeing what fundraising meetings he's going to. The first fundraising meeting he went to was with Comcast.
So also MSN then.
Right. So hang on. Do you think there's any chance that we will have net neutrality restored if we vote Joe Biden into office? When the very first donor he goes to is Comcast. Do you think there's any chance that we will categorize internet traffic as a Title II common carrier? Any chance at all?
Maybe he just wants an Xfinity package.
just wants a good deal on that home cable. That's the gist of it. This whole article is interesting. It talks a lot about various Republican former Congress members, former senators and speakers that he's met with and sharing donors with them, donor information with them. This is a fascinating read from Li Fang, of course, over at the Intercept. It's a publication that we like quite a bit over here. I urge everyone to have a look at it. But yeah, you can tell a lot about a candidate by who they're getting their money from, and
you can tell almost more than any other.
More than anything, and Uncle Joe's primary donors are Comcast at the moment. Comcast, GOP donors, and corporate lobbyists.
Good old. Okay, so DCK Punk. Keep up the good work, boys, and I'll keep spreading the word about you.
We appreciate that,
Thank you.
man.
And again, the $5 donation, your earlier $2 donation. Look, all you viewers and subscribers, you're really helping us out a lot, and especially those who donate to the Super Chat or become a Patreon. You're helping keep this network alive because we've done a lot of investigative and field work before we started doing this live stream show.
We want to build ourselves back up to do that again.
We've had experience on radio and on television, and we just want to build something that hasn't been seen here in Chicago, and something that's going to hold the establishment accountable, hold those in power accountable. We've been in Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, all over Chicago. There's a lot of stories that need to be covered, so thank you. So, Paul, I'm going to kind of add...
another interesting thing here. So this is an interesting paragraph in the article. So Biden is launching his presidential bid with a pledge to reject federal lobbyist cash. This is a thing that's common amongst many of the Democratic contenders, is this pledge to not take corporate money. And a lot of them, as we've mentioned before, are finding ways around that or either just breaking the pledge entirely. So the way Biden is doing it is the lobbyists attending his Thursday fundraiser are either unregistered or registered within state entities, not the federal system. So he gets to go around and say, I'm not taking any federal corporate lobbyist money. I'm just taking unregistered lobbyist money and state lobbyist money, right? It's a way of trying to say you're doing something really good while not doing anything really good.
Yeah.
So I want to say this goes back to a video I made on yesterday, that I'm really excited for Joe Biden entering the race. And if you saw the video, you'll see why. Paul was saying earlier how Biden has a lot of baggage. I'm going to clarify that a little bit. Biden has as much baggage as a English nobleman in the Victorian era going on a cruise and a tour with 6 daughters.
Oh, boy.
He has, again, I said on the show, I think with the exception of Trump, he has more baggage than any of the other Democratic candidates combined. So I'll say again what I said in the video. We look forward to covering Joe Biden.
Well, here's some of my problems I have with Joe Biden right now, too, especially if you look at his campaign ad. He's trying to make himself be the main front runner. He's already telling people, look, I'm going to fight Trump. And he's focusing only on Trump. Yeah, I get it. I understand what Trump represents to a lot of people, but if you're going to say, I'm going to fight Trump, I'm not Trump, I'm better than Trump, what are your policies, Joe Biden? Because already from this article, by you going to Comcast and them becoming one of your primary donors, mind you, one of your primary donors, it's telling me that you're not for net neutrality, and that should that question be brought up to you, you're going to flip-flop and give us a word salad, and it tells me that you're completely out of touch. You have no idea what's going on. You said so many disrespectful things to millennial voters. So why should people my age and younger consider supporting you? Why? Because we all want to put on our rose-colored glasses to remember the Obama years? Well, let's look back at the Obama years, okay? You guys let the banks and the corporations and Wall Street get a slap on the wrist after the 2008 recession. You didn't do anything to hold them accountable. You let them get away with it. No one got put to jail. You didn't hold the Bush administration accountable for its war crimes.
It's not like the person who would have prosecuted you wasn't handpicked by Citigroup to be the head of the DOJ, Eric Holder.
Yeah, you've had close ties with big banks and Wall Streets and the corporations. Not to mention, you've done a couple of things by almost instigating and by causing more involvement into Syria. You've caused the destruction of a legitimate government in Libya to where it was once a functioning nation. And look, there's questions about dictatorships and Muammar Gaddafi, but at least during his time as ruler of that country, there was an open slave trade. Something that your administration, that you were part of because you were vice president, allowed to happen.
When Gaddafi was leading in Libya had the highest human rights record of any country in Africa.
Huh. And
sounds like someone that we need to take over.
And it had a single-payer healthcare system. How about that?
Oh no, that has to go right away.
And
I mean, but really, I don't believe that. How could they have possibly paid for it? Said every American TV correspondent.
And not to mention, during the Obama administration, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, mind you, there were more drone bombs and usage. Of course, Trump is going to try and outpace that. He's not going to get his Nobel Peace Prize, but under Obama's administration, there was a lot of drone strikes.
He got that Peace Prize right after he was elected.
Congratulations, you're president. Here's a Peace Prize. Also, here's a cigar.
Yeah, so, and not to mention good old Uncle Joe. Remember this, too. Under the Obama administration, we got rid of habeas corpus. And whistleblowers were under more threats under his administration than Bush. That's really saying a lot.
It carries over to what's happening with Assange right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Then your administration decided to turn a blind eye to the election fraud that was happening during the 2016 primary. You supported a corporatist candidate, and then you handed over all these powers to President Donald Trump. And somehow you're going to convince the American voter that you're this great bastion of liberty. What you're trying to do is restore things back to normal, to the neoliberal system before Trump. We got Trump not because he's a great political actor. We got him because the system was destined for somebody like him to come along. And thankfully, he's not competent enough to really become a true dictator. But you guys are building the system up to where we can have this corrupt system eventually become a dictatorship. And so why should we, the American people, consider you, Joe Biden, to be a fighter for us when you don't really have any strict policies? You've failed not once, but 2 other times running for the office. I mean, it's an embarrassment already. Why should we consider you? Because you're not Trump? Whoop-de-doo. I've heard that song and dance for the past 4 years. I don't believe it.
Now, implicit in that actual argument, in the I'm the best one positioned to defeat Trump, is a couple of assumptions that get pushed into place that are just wrong, right? The assumption is we need a centrist. We need somebody who can win over a pragmatic person who's going to be able to get some of those GOP voters. You're not going to win over GOP voters who are in the super solid MAGA camp. You're just not going to.
They're also employees for reality.
Right. So that's not a good message. It's basically what Hillary tried to run on in 2016 is, I'm better at beating Trump because I'm going to win over these Republican voters.
And what happened when they focused on those white suburban Republicans?
Oh, it's almost like they didn't get those votes that they told us they were going to get. Okay. Look at this as a case study. 2018 midterms, right? Every candidate that was endorsed by brand new Congress, Justice Democrats, Our Revolution, and the DSA overperformed their polling projections. Overperformed. Not all of them won, but Richard Ojeda took a plus 49 Trump district and turned it into a 10-point race in West Virginia, running as a progressive. Every centrist Democrat, every mealy-mouthed, middle-of-the-road, I'm going to get the Republicans to vote for me Democrat, underperformed their projections. Some of them won, but and the pushback was like, oh, you Justice Democrats didn't win that many seats. No, but we overperformed what everyone thought we were going to do across the board. And all of you guys telling us we need to move to the center and win over GOP voters, you didn't do as well as you told us you were going to do.
Do you want to know who actually really did a good job possibly convincing some Republicans and libertarians and independents to vote for him? Was when Bernie Sanders went on that Fox News town hall. Now, I'm not saying all Republican voters and libertarians or conservative-leaning voters are going to do it. No, not all of them. But at least he had the courage to go onto Fox News and actually talk to them. Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang did the same thing, you know?
It was a lot of Democratic voters in the audience. Right,
of course, but at the audience. But I mean, even then, for the average Fox News viewer or conservative.
It matches the primary in 2016. He won a bunch of Republicans because here's the other thing.
Oh, Bernie would have won.
Yeah. And so
surprise.
The other thing that kind of is implicit in this, that this split's happening with, is that it used to be that what are the issues that if you're a Democrat you run on abortion, you run on gun rights, what else is there that they
not gun rights but gun control.
Control. But what else do we have that's like the big Democrat
supporting minorities
as a concept but not a policy. Yeah. So if you look at it like that, it's so fascinating how the issues that those fall under are about 50-50 splits. It's almost as if they're designed to be just meat grinders where no one can actually win anything. Yet the new way of looking at things happens to have a majority of American support. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, going back to the news while they're busy covering everything about Russiagate 24/7, that if you really think about it very, very carefully, Sanders is a centrist because he believes in ideas that the majority of Americans believe in. Yeah. Biden, MSN, CNN, Fox are extremists because they believe in policy that maybe 10 or 15% of the American population support. And that's why they're fighting so hard. Again, that's what we said before. This is why they're throwing everyone they can at the wall to try and get around Bernie Sanders. That's why they're talking about things the way they are, because they just don't have good policy. And if you can get people to look past the propaganda that's been built up by mainstream media for years, Joe Biden is as terrible as we're putting him out to be, easily, if not worse. We're probably being nice to him.
Paul?
Yeah, I want to be careful with that framing of that argument because it's basically let's define our terms and let's define centrist in this way that most people aren't using that term.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
So usually when people say, well, Bernie's actually a centrist, what they're talking about is contextually within politics worldwide, he would be considered a centrist. If we're talking about those who are left-leaning politicians, Green Party, socialist, communist politicians versus right-leaning Republican, nationalistic type right-wingers, Bernie would be a centrist if he was running for office in Norway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's running for office in America, which makes him an extreme lefty.
I know.
But that even goes to that it's already been the terms center left, center right, centrist, right, left have already been so bastardized right now. Like, in all reality, the Democratic Party is a moderate Republican party at best. And the Republican Party is a far-right party. So we really have a far-right party and a center-right party.
I actually wish we just
no
had,
real center.
I just wish we had more of a parliamentary system. That's just my own opinion. Look, I know there's a lot of.
I agree. The difficulty there is systematic change must take place to allow that to happen.